In this heart-touching story, a hungry boy is thrown out of a diner by a rude manager. But moments later, bikers walk in and teach everyone a lesson they'll never forget. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. It was a chilly evening in a quiet Texas town. The streets were almost empty, except for the glow of a few streetlights and the distant sound of cars on the highway. A small diner stood at the corner. Maggie's Diner, famous for its warm coffee and homemade pies. Inside, people chatted softly, enjoying the cozy atmosphere. Then the glass door opened slowly and a young boy stepped in. He couldn't have been more than 14. His clothes were worn out, his sneakers muddy, and his eyes carried the tiredness of someone far older. The cold wind followed him inside, and a few customers turned to look. The boy hesitated for a moment, holding the strap of his torn backpack tightly, then walked up to the counter. "Sir," he said softly to the manager, "I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten all day. I can wash dishes or clean tables to pay for a meal, please." The manager, a thick man with a red face and an impatient tone, glanced at him like he was dirt. "Kid, this ain't a soup kitchen," he snapped. "You got money or not?" The boy shook his head slowly. "No, sir, but I promise I'll work." Before he could finish, the manager cut him off. "Out! I don't want dirty kids begging in my diner," he shouted loud enough for everyone to hear. The boy's cheeks flushed red. He turned around quickly, his stomach growling, his throat dry. No one said a word. A couple sitting in the corner looked away awkwardly. A truck driver lowered his head into his coffee. The whole place fell silent as the boy pushed the door open and stepped back into the cold night. Outside, he sat on the curb, pulling his thin jacket around him. The neon sign from the diner flickered above his head. He could smell the burgers cooking inside, and that made the pain worse. He hadn't eaten properly in 2 days. His parents had died in a car crash 2 years ago, and since then, he'd been in and out of foster homes, running away whenever things got bad. Tonight, he was just trying to survive. Inside, the manager returned to his business, muttering under his breath about lazy kids. He didn't notice the sound that was beginning to grow louder from down the street, a deep rumble like thunder. Heads turned as the noise approached. Then, through the diner's big front windows, headlights appeared, several of them. The rumble turned into a chorus of engines as a group of bikers pulled up outside the diner. They wore leather jackets with patches reading Lone Wolves MC. The customers inside fell silent. The manager frowned. "Great," he grumbled. "Just what I need. Bikers." The door opened again, the bell jingling sharply. The bikers stepped in, their boots thudding against the floor. They filled the diner with their heavy presence, tattoos, leather, and confidence. None of them noticed the boy sitting outside in the cold, but they soon would. Beard and kind eyes noticed the boy sitting outside on the curb, hugging his knees against the cold. His name was Rick Bear Lawson, a Vietnam veteran and the president of the Lone Wolves Motorcycle Club. He had seen many faces of struggle in his life, but something about that boy's look hit him deep. Rick turned to one of his brothers and said, "Hold up, Tank, I'll be right back." He pushed open the door, letting the warm air rush out, and walked over to the boy. "Hey there, kid," he said in a soft, gravelly voice. "You okay?" The boy looked up, startled. "Yeah, sir." "I'm fine," he said quickly, trying to hide his hunger. Rick crouched beside him. "You don't look fine." "What's your name?" "Eli," the boy whispered. "I was just trying to get some food, but they said no." Rick's jaw tightened. "They kicked you out?" Eli nodded, embarrassed. "Said I didn't belong here." Rick stood up slowly, his eyes cold now. "Wait here." He walked back into the diner, and the sound of his boots hitting the floor echoed like thunder. The manager looked up nervously. Can I help you, sir?" Rick's deep voice filled the room. "Yeah, you can start by bringing 10 cheeseburgers, 5 fries, and some hot chocolate. And make it fast." The manager blinked. "That's a big order." "You paying cash?" Rick smirked. "Cash, card, gold, however you like it. But make sure one of those meals is packed with extra care." It's for a hungry kid you threw out a few minutes ago. The entire diner went silent. A few people stopped eating. The truck driver who had looked away earlier lifted his head, guilt in his eyes. The manager's face turned pale. I didn't know he was with you, the manager stammered. Rick stepped closer, his voice steady but firm. He's not with me. He's a kid who needed help. That's all the reason you should have needed. One of the bikers, Tank, opened the door and waved Eli inside. The boy hesitated, then slowly stepped in, unsure if he was welcome. Rick guided him to the booth near the window. Sit down, son. Tonight you eat like a king. When the food arrived, the bikers pushed all the plates toward Eli. He looked at the steaming burgers, tears welling up in his eyes. Thank you. All of you, he whispered. Rick smiled. Eat, don't talk. You've earned it. As Eli ate, the other customers clapped softly. A woman even slipped some cash toward the boy. The manager stood frozen behind the counter, his pride shattered. Rick turned to him one last time and said, Next time, think before you throw someone out. Respect isn't about wallets. It's about heart. When the bikers finally rode away into the night, the diner felt different, warmer somehow. And Eli? He wasn't just full for the first time in days. He'd found something far rarer than food, kindness.